The equator. It's a ribbon of sunlight warming the middle of our Earth. A magical world of amazing creatures. And joyful people. An ancient paradise. An enduring mystery, waiting to be explored. The equator is the original paradise where all creatures live together. It is the cradle of life. Humans and every other animal appeared first on the equator. It is also the museum of life. In this super stable climate, animals do not go extinct. All of the world's last great rainforests lie on the equator. These deep jungles cover parts of Indonesia, Central Africa, South America, and even touch equatorial islands like Galapagos. They are the lungs of the planet and treasures of biodiversity. They hide our closest cousins, the ancestors of our beloved pets, and tiny creatures whose brief lives can tell us a lot about where we're going. And deep in these jungles, you will find the unique species of scientists willing to sacrifice their own comfort to study and preserve some of Earth's most incredible creatures. On the Atlantic coast of Africa is the nation of Gabon, a former French colony and one of Africa's most wealthy and stable countries. In the dense Gabonese jungles live our fascinating relatives, lowland gorillas, the most elusive apes. Endangered by hunting, the gorillas hide from people. But a team of scouts led by American zoologist Martha Robbins is slowly getting to know the gorilla's habits.
I love that I have a job where I learn things and that I can discover things. I never know what I'm going to see on any day that I go out in the forest.
Martha has been working since 2005 to get close to these gorillas.
The main focus of the project is to follow this one group of gorillas. To relocate the gorillas in the morning, it can take anywhere from 15 minutes to a few days. So there are a lot of challenges with this, and literally every day that we go out there, unless we find them within 20 minutes or 30 minutes, there's always a point in the morning where I think, are we really gonna find them? But we do.
Her goal is to get them used to people, because having people nearby can shield them from danger.
Wild gorillas are naturally afraid of people. So if they're not habituated, you almost never ever see them, because the minute they see humans, they run away. So habituation is a process where gradually over time, they learn to not fear us and to more or less accept us into their environment, into their group, so to speak. And this takes several years. In the beginning, literally every day we go out, we find them, and they run away because they're afraid of us. And then slowly over time, we can get a little bit closer, they become more accepting, until finally we can get within 10 or 20 meters of them, and they act normally, and we can see the inner workings of gorilla lives.
The study has given local people a new appreciation of gorillas.
Some friends have asked me once, all gorillas look the same. How can you tell that it's this one or that one? You could also say that all humans look the same. They all have two arms, they have a head, they have eyes. But there are always some characteristics that make up each person's individual physiognomy.
The presence of researchers helps protect the gorillas and their forest by discouraging illegal poaching and logging.
Oh, wonderful, that's Antonanga. So here comes Ambia. Which camera was that from? Where were they?
Martha Robbins uses camera traps to understand how our primate cousins manage their land.
So one thing in particular I'm interested in is how do they use their habitat? This 5 by 5 kilometer area, how do they decide where to go? And how do they, okay, this fruit has just started to be in season, there's fruit now. They seem to know where certain trees are and so forth.
And this is a sun was seen further north.
Some different wildlife here.
So this is where we changed the camera this morning.
So way up on Bafia.
The more she learns, the easier it is for Martha to enter the world of the gorillas.
When we're in the forest here, it's really special because you focus on hearing. I think you really use all your senses more, and that somehow can make life fuller in a way.
Savoir la forêt, c'est très important.
Knowing the forest is very important.
Voir une direction.
You may see a direction,
Après vous dites bon, au lieu que vous continuez à tourner.
but then, instead of following the tracks, you can say, there's a swamp ahead,
un peu plus
a
devant,
curve,
parce que vous savez qu'il
and that's where they'll cross.
devant, donc
And you can go there
là, ils
directly.
vont forcément traverser ce bras de marécage là, donc on passe directement devant et
And in 3/4 of these cases,
quarts du temps,
we have been right.
on a toujours réussi.
They eat the bark of this, and it's still quite wet. They ate it recently. They ate this recently, so they're somewhere around here. We'll find them. This group is called the Antonanga group. There's the silverback named Kamaya. There are 6 adult females. And then there are 9 what we call immatures. And they range in age from the youngest infant is 9 months old, and then the oldest immature, he's about 8 to 9 years old. It's a really lovely group right now because it's a good size for Western gorillas. Over the last few years, as the gorillas have become more and more habituated, and we've followed them more, we know much more of their habits. So we know where they go, we know what foods they're going to be eating at certain times of the year, and we know where those foods are located in the forest. So now if we lose them, we can find them typically within a day or so, whereas 3 or 4 years ago, we might lose them for a week or more. The same way that humans have conflicts with each other, but also have very friendly relationships with each other, the same thing occurs within gorillas. Sometimes if they're feeding in a fruit tree together, they are very close to one another, and that's where we may see that one gorilla approaches another one too close or wants to go for the same spot to feed, and so then a conflict or a fight will come out. What we saw in the forest today was actually a pretty severe fight.
Her research has shown that populations of endangered gorillas increase when they're habituated to people, who can discourage poachers and call in veterinarians when needed. The researchers hope ecotourism will develop here. They believe that tourists who know gorillas personally will be motivated to protect them for another generation. There's many visions of paradise. They all share certain traits. The weather is always fair, the colors bright, and the wildlife diverse. Such Edens abound on the equator, each one unique. In Ecuador, between the Andes and the Amazon, is Yasuni National Park. It's said to be the single most biodiverse place on Earth, but its riches are deeply hidden. Biologist Diego Mosquera spends his days searching for them. His goal is to verify the diversity here. Yasuni is threatened by oil drilling. Diego hopes to protect it by proving how unique this jungle is.
Los trópicos son conocidos, digamos, en el mundo científico.
The tropics are known in the scientific world as the Museum of Life and the Cradle of Life.
La mayoría de especies que habitan en el planeta.
Most of the species that inhabit the planet live here. So it's a place where most of the species are preserved.
También se lo llama la cuna de la vida,
It is also called the cradle of life because it gave rise to the emergence of new species. In the temperate zones, you have seasons. At the equator, we have consistent weather all year. That allows species to avoid a lot of stress.
The
fact that this is an almost original forest that hasn't changed in the last 10,000 years makes it ideal to study how animals live in their natural habitat. You can go to the forest and walk for hours and not see any animals. But that doesn't mean animals are not there. Yasuni is one of the most biodiverse places in the world. The diversity doesn't even fit in your mind. There are almost 650 species of birds, more than 200 species of mammals, more than 200 species of amphibians, 100 million insect species per hectare. In 100 meters by 100 meters, there are more plant species than in the US and Canada combined. Yasuni is a refuge. It's like an island surrounded by human activity.
Diego's mission is to catalog the creatures of Yasuni as fast as he can. Ecuador's Quechuan people rely on the Yasuni's diversity for all their needs. Diego's guide, Jose, has studied the jungle since childhood.
I have lived my whole life on the Napo River. Life was totally different compared to now. Before, one had to go to the forest, to the river, looking for food. Now my children and other relatives have a different life. Now one goes to the market and everything is there. My grandfather was perhaps one of my first teachers. Since childhood, I walked next to him through the forest. Back then, I didn't use rubber boots. I just walked barefoot, and he told me where to walk. There are many venomous serpents that can kill us in half an hour. What we see there on the tree, this thing on the left, is an ant nest. This is the tunnel, sort of a road, that they make to come over the ground. And it connects to their home. So when indigenous people want to use it as a repellent, you put your hand here. The ants will crawl on you. These ants have to be killed. It's a very strong smell. And this has to be put on the body. And after that, the mosquitoes don't like it. That way they protect themselves and walk naked for many hours. Here we have this plant. It is a medicine. In my language, it is called shungapanga. And my grandparents used it when our stomach is too big and there is much pain. We cut 3 leaves and we put a bowl with 1 liter of water. When it is boiling, we take 3 leaves together. We leave them boiling for 10 more minutes. Then we drink a cup 3 times a day. We do this for 2 days, and after this, the stomach pain will disappear. We can find this medicine just in places where there is virgin forest or primary forest. These plants are very delicate, so if there is deforestation, they will disappear forever and will never grow up again. The most important thing that my grandfather taught me is to value and love nature. He told me, what you have around you is your life. If someone tries to take it from you, you must fight to the death for it. Because from nature, you have food, drink, medicine, everything. Because we all live from it. To me, paradise is this green world. To me, this is everything. My primordial paradise, Yasuni.
In the Yasuni rainforest, creatures are threatened by oil wells that have been drilled throughout the park.
Ese sonido que escuchamos.
The noise we hear? The is the sound of a generator from the oil activities.
Hoy está particularmente fuerte el sonido.
Today is particularly loud.
De dónde está uno.
It depends a lot on where one is, the wind, fog, etc.
Pero a pesar de que está tan lejos, podemos oír que.
But despite it being so far, we can hear the noises super loud.
Para los animales es.
If we detect it like that. For the animals, it's way worse.
The animals hear all and see all, but they are never seen. Diego needs help to learn their ways.
Nosotros empezamos con nuestro proyecto de cámaras trampas.
We started our camera trap project about 10 years ago.
Empezamos este proyecto, teníamos la idea de aprender más sobre los animales. Entonces, en lo que se refiere al estudio de mamíferos,
in regards to the study of mammals, we can literally divide it into before and after camera traps. Because with the camera traps, we've obtained a lot of information, and valuable information.
So normally you set 2 cameras in order to get both sides of the animal. It's better if you have both sides of the animal to look at the spots. And then you can look at the spots and you can identify individuals. And that's the important thing when you study these animals, because when you know individuals, then you can do a lot more things. You can estimate the abundance, the density, when they are active, and many, many other things. The jaguars use the same roads over a long period of time. In this case, what I'm trying to do is to get a video of him. I've got it in this particular place and then on the main trail several times over the year. So it's a resident jaguar. At this very moment, animals could be watching us. They can smell us, they can sense that we're here. Bueno, cuando uno pone cámaras trampa es nunca.
When you set camera traps, you never stop being surprised.
No hay nada mejor que ir al bosque, poner una cámara trampa.
There's nothing better than going into the forest and setting a camera trap and coming back to see.
That was like in March last year, to set some cameras in some of the plots that we have. This video of the jaguar with the two cubs. You can tell that the jaguars, the cubs are pretty young. Ver un jaguar, no hay nada que pueda describir.
For me, the jaguar is like poetry. To see a jaguar, it is like an energy, so powerful that you feel that you will never tire.
A mí me trae mucho de los jaguares que andan solos.
It entices me a lot that the jaguars patrol the rainforest by themselves, the guardians of all others. I feel very much attracted by that emanating power.
It's like that we call an umbrella species. They control the population of other species. So if predators disappear, the whole equilibrium is going to collapse.
I remember clearly a moment when I was at the river and saw my first jaguar. So I saw the jaguar, and the jaguar looked into my eyes. It was like a power that I sensed the animal had transmitted to me. So I said, wow, this place is my place.
The great threat to equatorial rainforest is in Indonesia. Industrial farming is destroying the forest and its inhabitants.
Orangutan itu ya pastinya lah manusia.
The threat for orangutans is definitely humans.
Untuk pertambangan,
they hack down the forest and kill the orangutans. They burn them.
Terus dibakar.
It's because of the palm oil plantations.
Mereka
The orangutans are driven away from the plantation. When they come back, the palm oil growers consider them as pests. But it is really the orangutans' forest, and they have turned it into a plantation. Yet the farmers see orangutans as pests.
Rani and her colleagues are trying to save orangutans from extinction. This jungle is the only place where orangutans live. But in the last few decades, 2/3 of the population, roughly 200,000 orangutans, have been killed. Samboja Lestari is a 2,000-hectare refuge that takes in injured or orphaned orangutans. The animals are nursed back to health and eventually released into protected forest.
Tuh, liatin tuh. Tuh lehernya Dan, liatin Dan. Tuh, gatalan kan? Tuh. Nah, sini, Gus. Bagus. Sini, Gus. Salah. Sini. Ganti aja yang gampang kalau enggak. Ya, 17. 17. Dah. Ayan, di bawah sudah. Di bawah aja ini. Ukur-ukur. Kalau misalnya kayak sakit gitu, pasti mereka itu.
If they're sick, they will just sit next to us and do nothing. Then there's also some physical signs that tell us, oh, this orangutan is sick, and they want some caring from us.
Kayak gitu. Diam deh ya. Rambutnya basah, Pak. Berapa tadi? 22 atas. Terus Pedro itu.
Pedro is naughty but nice. He never obeys me, but he's afraid of his father.
Takut gitu sama kipernya lagi.
He's afraid of the male keepers.
Bikin baju. Bikin baju. Bisa, Mbak, ini.
Most of the orangutans are orphans. The reserve raises and then re-releases them. But first, they have to learn how to be wild.
Sudah di Kalimantan ini.
I've been working here for almost 5 years.
Sudah hampir 5 tahun, 4 tahun setengahan lah ya di sini sudah.
I work as a keeper and babysitter for the forest school and baby nursery.
Babysitter di S1 sama untuk di baby nursery. Mereka itu kan di sini banyak yang yatim.
A lot of the orangutans here have no parents.
Ya, pastinya kan
I feel bad for them.
Kalau ditanya gimana cara.
If you ask me how the orangutans learn how to climb the tree, they actually know how to do it already.
Manjat itu tahu, cuma
They know how to climb.
Mau nggak ngajarin dia? Ya,
Are we willing to teach them? It's just like us and our children. If we're willing to teach our children to play, to learn how to climb, then their instinct to climb will come up on its own.
Oke. Ya, oke. Yuk.
Sini, Wak. Salah kan?
Sini ya.
Ayo.
Orangutan itu kurang lebih kayak
Orangutans are similar to humans.
itu ya, kita ngerasain juga dia.
They are truly my children. When I'm mad, they know it.
Saat kita sayangin dia ngerti.
When I give them love,
Dia manjat.
they understand it.
Tuh, jadi ya.
When they're sick, they look for attention from me. They're just like my own children.
Orangutan is a Malaysian word that means old man of the forest. Evidence that people have always considered them kin. Every day, Rani Pujarwante is in the rainforest, teaching orangutans to act like animals.
Awas, kena duri.
Kita ngajarin apa-apa yang bisa dimakan.
We teach them about what can be eaten, how to climb, how to make a nest, so that they can return to the wilderness.
Naik. Pedro naik, Dra.
The keepers take the place of the baby orangutan's parents, teaching them survival skills. But once they are released into the forest, the keepers stay away from the apes. They want the orangutans to shun humans as a danger.
Tujuan kita kan pingin orangutan itu.
Our goal is to get the orangutans to regain their natural instincts.
Jangan sampai.
So we shouldn't treat them as humans or their behavior may change.
Perilakunya.
That's what we need to be careful about.
Menjaga jarak. Mungkin kalau untuk.
That includes keeping your distance.
Memang perlu.
The babies may require more approach. But here, we have to start keeping a distance.
Di sini ini. Betulnya yang lebih baik itu dia yang enggak.
It's better if they are reluctant to stay close with humans.
Karena kalau orang.
If the orangutans are used to humans, it may one day become a threat for them in the forest.
Itu sebenarnya jadi ancaman nanti suatu saat di hutan.
Romeo.
Saya ya, sejarah saya Romeo itu termasuk orangutan yang awal-awal yang
As far as I can remember, Romeo was one of the
cukup
first.
lama berdiam di yayasan ini.
He's been in the foundation for a long time.
Si awal memang agak surprise mungkin Romeo.
His initial reaction was
Tiap hari
he was a little
saya
bit
di sana,
surprised.
Tiba-tiba berada di alam
He's
liar,
used to being in the cage every day, and all of a sudden,
tapi itu
he's in the wilderness with trees around him.
istilahnya kagetnya itu
But it was just for a few days.
beberapa hari habis itu sudah
After that, he started to relax and enjoy himself.
bisa keliling pulau untuk mengitari daerah.
He was able to go around the island to trace his territory.
Sangat baik.
He's doing very well.
Maybe one day our future generations will no longer be able to see orangutans because they have become extinct.
The Earth without orangutans would be missing history. No history, nothing to see, nothing to tell our future generations. No proof, only stories.
The experience of orangutans is an old story. People push creatures further and further away until they fall off the earth, unless they find somewhere very remote to hide. If species are forced to move, they must evolve or perish. We know that because Charles Darwin discovered it almost 200 years ago on isolated islands in the Pacific Ocean. Darwin saw that similar creatures evolved different bodies to survive the unique landscapes of 20 Galapagos islands. The many kinds of Darwin's finches were the best example. Today, biologist Jaime Chavez sees the finches evolving in unexpected ways.
I'm an Ecuadorian native, and I've been working on Darwin finches and studying the evolution of species in the Galapagos for the last 7 to 8 years.
Jaime uses mist nets, invisible and harmless to finches, to catch them for study.
Good. The origin, Darwin finches, is from one common ancestor that gave rise to this variety. They differ primarily on their sizes and primarily on their beaks. We were talking about maybe 18 finches that live on the Galapagos Islands. And it was in isolation where these populations encountered different seed types, different temperature regimes, many different selection pressures on different islands. And they had to adapt to that particular environment. The idea of having different beaks is that you are getting specialized on one type of seed, and that will avoid competition to other species. So in 2 generations, you can see a shift in beak size. So that means in the next generation, you have a complete different set of individuals that now might leave offspring. Evolution happens in very rapid timescales.
Jaime's research also shows that evolution never stops and that finches continue to change shape as they encounter new foods.
One of the major factors that we're looking into is the impact of humans and how humans are altering the trajectory of evolution.
Ironically, by making Galapagos famous, Darwin altered the course of evolution here. Almost no one lived here when Darwin visited, but fame drew scientists and then tourists. Their presence altered the landscape, and that eventually changed the animals too. Daniel Bermeo and his wife Miriam moved to Galapagos from the city of Quito a year ago.
We live as millionaires with no money. That's my definition for this. You can grow anything here. It's incredible that you can see papayas and potatoes in the same field. Rúcula, albahaca,
arugula, basil, lime basil, purple basil, beans, string beans, tomatoes, papaya. What else?
Café.
Coffee.
Y muchas frutas.
And so much tropical fruit.
Nos gusta mucho la naturaleza.
We like nature a lot. We always try to make the least impact. But the fact that we are here is an impact. I don't know if we can avoid that.
Weekly, we harvest the products, vegetables and fruits. We go down to the port, where everybody lives.
Daniel and Miriam's organic farm is just a year old and already a success. Their market is guaranteed. In 1970, 5,000 people visited Galapagos. In 2015, the island had 225,000 tourists. There are 25,000 full-time residents to serve them. Most make a good living because tourists who come here tend to be wealthy.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, ¿cómo estás?
Oye, la rúcula se nos acabó los 2 días que nos trajiste.
Así es, enseguida.
Oye, se comieron todo. Estaba enamorado el señor, que es muy rico su rúcula.
This is a new project here in the island where we've decided to use all the local ingredients because we've realized there is so much growing here and people just take it for granted. The soil here is very rich and they have very interesting species that are just native from Galapagos, which is very exciting. I think that's the step that everyone should take. We need to work in order to create a better world for everybody. I'm from Panama, came to Galapagos in January and fell in love with it.
Tourists are restricted in their movements and forbidden from touching animals, but animals go wherever they please. More than a century after Darwin was here, creatures, tourists, and residents have evolved to depend on each other in all sorts of ways. The Galapagos Islands have more experience with ecotourism than anywhere. Since the 19th century, people have been coming to see its unique creatures. Jaime Chavez is probing the impact of that, one Darwin's finch at a time.
Entonces es Geospisa fuliginosa, ¿no? Small ground finch.
Eso es la especie.
Ajá. Los big length. 962.
9.62.
Big width. 720.
7.20. 6.80.
Deep.
Stop bleeding. She's good to go. Sí, es una folia hembra.
Yes, it's a female.
El pico es un poquito más largo que
The beak is a bit larger.
9.87.
9.87.
7.65. 7.43. 10.10. 699.
Width igual, ¿no?
No es el depth. Este es width.
699.
658. 827. 'So that's pretty cool. There's like a medium finch on the right-hand side and a small finch here. Here's an example in which two species with very different beaks are feeding on the same seed. So we want to see exactly what species are there to see the size of the seeds. So we observed two species of finches feeding on these seeds, right? We saw the small ground finch and the medium ground finch. If that is an invasive plant, these small, soft seeds are going to be breaking down those isolated groups, and might be just one big type of beak per island that are eating soft items like these introduced plants, or even in the urban sites, maybe some human items as well. That means that the number of intermediate beaks are going to increase. And then instead of having very distinct morphotypes, you will have a homogenic sample of all the birds. So all the birds might look the same. Variation is not only the differences in beak sizes among one population. Variation is this power to find answers to different questions in nature. Variation is key for survival. The beak of some finches now are very different in areas where they have human settlements around compared to areas there are not. That shows you that evolution and species are adapting to very different environments. So if we as humans are making that a seed and a bird change so dramatically in their history, I cannot imagine what it's going to be like looking at the entire planet when we change climatic regimes. We have changed so much.
All around the equator, animals are changing because of the growing influence of people. Sometimes for worse, and sometimes for better. The humans and creatures who share the equator are evolving and creating a new world.